The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Welcome, everybody. This is Auntie Zaza's Fireside Chat, and I am Auntie Zaza. I'm the owner of the local yarn shop, Auntie Zaza's Fiberworks, and we're located at 104 Main Street in Easton, Massachusetts. If you know where Farmer's Daughter is, we're right around the corner from that. And we are a vibrant fiber education center. We have knitting and crochet lessons for the youth, teenagers, and for the adult learner. Our classes are based on the adult learning model. We have knitters and crocheters who are sitting side by side. We inspire each other, we encourage each other, and we have a really fun and vibrant community. There are about 17 classes that happen throughout the week. And we'll have knitters and crocheters working side by side in class, and some might be relative beginners, and some are very experienced. And it's just very supportive and very fun. We also have beautiful yarn that we sell of specialty yarn for knitting and crocheting and weaving. We have a small spinning section and loads of accessories and things that every knitter and crocheter would need. So come on down and see us sometime. If you haven't been into the store, we'd love to have you come and see what we have to offer here. We just did a few programs at the sheep pasture. We're always trying to connect with community in different ways. And we have a few things coming up. In June, we have Sit and Knit in Public Day. Yes, indeed, we will pick a destination or we'll meet out in front of the shop, and we just enjoy having a nice time outside with each other. Then in September, we have the Cape and South Shore Yarn Haul, which is a really fun fiber activity for anyone who might be interested. You can save the date. It's usually the third weekend in September. And we collaborate with, I believe it's 10 different shops all the way down to Harwich for a really fun fiber weekend. And their door prizes and their giveaways and all sorts of fun things that happen. So if that's something you might be interested in, or if you know of someone who might like it, we are always grateful for people to share the news and spread it along to other people who might like such a fun activity. It's kind of like a pub crawl is how we describe it. And you go from shop to shop with your little passport and get your passport stamped so you get eligible for the big drawing, and it's a lot of fun. In our youth class, we're working on, or this is the teenagers are working on these little dolls by Louise Crawford, or little stuffed animals. They're really fun and super detailed, but it just gives you an idea of what some of the kids are up to. That just because you're a kid doesn't mean you can't make the fancy stuff. And it probably takes close to a year to actually make these dolls, because this little coat, for instance, has as many stitches as does a coat that I would, or a sweater that I would be making for myself. So just because they're little doesn't mean they're not very involved. But she's really cute. She's got her little button coat, and then she has her little Aran sweater, and she's got her pretty little lace dress. So loads of little accessories for that fun little pattern. Oh, and her little, what are they called? Her high tops, Converse sneakers. Anyway, they're a lot of fun. So one of the students is making a dog, and she made a bunny, and it's just, they're very, very sweet and endearing and really fun project. So, and this is another one that is a favorite of mine. This is a little teddy bear that I made. And it's fun just selecting a yarn. This is a yarn called Touch by Serdar that gives a furry little plushy effect to him. And then you use little plastic button eyes to accent it. And I sewed the nose on him. But there's so much joy in making cute little animals and little toys. It's really, I think, what I love doing more than anything is just making fun little toys, because they're very fun. And I talk to my bear because I really like my bear. Here's another one that's called the Topsy Turvy. So it's a little bunny. And then what he does, you see his little detail. He's got his little cotton tail. And then he flips inside out and he becomes a kitty. So I've got a bunch of these that I've made for my grandson that are just really sweet little toys. My little grandma thing that I love doing for him. A lot of fun. So how would you be creative? There's just endless possibilities. That I will say. I was telling someone the other day about an experience I had flying on the airplane, because I always travel with my knitting. And they will confiscate. There is a special little blade for your yarn that kind of looks like a ninja blade. They will confiscate that, but people will travel maybe with a nail clipper or little tiny scissors, and that's not an issue. I have traveled with a lot of stuff and I've never had anything confiscated, but I usually carry a small project that I'm not terribly attached to, so that in case I get separated, that it wouldn't be a big loss. But what I was going to tell you about traveling was one day I was flying and I was reading a knitting pattern book that was written by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And I started laughing out loud. And then I really started laughing out loud because I wondered what anyone would think if they were noticing that I was reading a knitting pattern book and was laughing. Anyway, but Elizabeth Zimmerman is one of the gurus of knitting. She wrote a beautiful book that is called Knitting Without Tears. And there were numerous pearls that she shared in this book that I really, really loved. And one was, if you can't see it from the back of a horse, don't worry about it. And she was talking about how common it is for us when we're making something that we'll make a mistake. And if we make a mistake and we don't notice it until we've done another 10 or 15 inches, which might be hours and hours of labor, her philosophy is, if you can't see it from the back of a horse, just don't worry about it. And I love the notion of how do we cut ourselves some slack around our creative process, that we're not perfect and that things are going to happen where it doesn't always come together in the way that we imagine that it should. And yet it's something that we've made. It's our journey. It's our learning process, and we're not perfect. And I also say, think about where the issue is. It's under the arm of a sweater on a child. Are we really going to get worried about this? Or I'll say, are we going into the competition for the world's greatest knitter or crocheter? Like, can we just cut ourselves some slack and allow ourselves to be human and to make a mistake? And the other thing that Elizabeth was saying that also got me laughing was, she said, just keep knitting stuff. So she was talking about gauge, and gauge, it relates to what's the size of your needle, what's the thickness of the yarn, and how many stitches per inch are you getting for the object that you're making. And what she said was, just don't even worry about it. Just keep making stuff and then find a body that can fit whatever it is that you made. And I love the freedom that came with such a response of like, it doesn't really matter, if it is that it doesn't fit. What matters is, can you be flexible about just finding somebody else who can wear the object that you made and then learn from what ended up happening. An example I have is I'll have one student working in exactly the same yarn and exactly the same needle size can knit an object that I say is like the cartoon that I watched as a kid, that Fat Albert cartoon, and the hat was like this big slouchy hat. You say, "Hey, my baby, what's happening?" And I make these a celebrity slouchy hat that's really floppy, and somebody else using exactly the same material and the exact same yarn, exact same needle size, same pattern, and they'll make a fez for an 8-year-old. So that's the conversation about tension, like how tight do you knit, how loose do you knit, and how is that going to impact the shape of the object that you're making? But we can talk more about that at a later date. Oh, I had one more thing that I was going to share with you for today, which is an inspiration of this shawl, which is going to be the shawl haul for the Cape and South Shore Yarn Haul. So everyone makes one of these objects. We have the pattern in knitting and we have the pattern in crochet. And then we'll set you up with the material. You can use any colors you want. You can use any yarn you want and make a beautiful shawl. And then many people will just show up to the haul and wear it and get a special prize for wearing their object. And it's yet another fun thing that's up and coming. And that's about it for today. So thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you, and I hope you're going to have a really nice summer. Take care. Bye-bye.